Уже говорил, что было принято решение о создании необходимой буферной зоны безопасности вдоль границ. Наши вооруженные силы сейчас эту задачу решают. Активно подавляются огневые точки противника. Работа идет.
This is my video update on this Friday afternoon, May the 23rd. Coming to you from Limassol, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with the buffer zone. Putin yesterday announcing that Russia is going to create a buffer zone in the north of Ukraine, the south of Russia. The buffer zone will incorporate, at least my understanding of it, is that it will incorporate the Sumy region, Kharkov, and Chernigov. It will basically cover the north part of Ukraine. 150 kilometers is what some reports are claiming, though I don't think Putin actually gave the exact length of the buffer zone. But he did say that the Russian military is very active in creating this buffer zone. I've seen some maps which claim that the 150 kilometers over the next couple of months will extend all the way down to the south, so that it will eventually incorporate Odessa as part of the buffer zone. But right now, I believe Putin is talking about the north of Ukraine. Basically, the area where Zelensky got the bright idea, along with the UK, France, NATO, the United States, where Zelensky came up with the idea of the Kursk incursion. Once he went into Kursk, the deal was sealed. That's when I believe Russia said, okay, well, there you have it. He's coming to Kursk. Now we will, over time, we will create a buffer zone. He's given us the perfect excuse, the perfect reason to announce a buffer zone. So Russia clears out Kursk from Ukraine, and now we get the buffer zone announcement. A couple of days ago, I talked about how Ukraine is evacuating many of the residents from the Sumy region in anticipation of a Russian advance. So they saw this coming. Pretty much everyone saw this coming. We saw this coming. Eventually, Russia was going to move from the north of Ukraine. They were going to push some sort of an offensive. But when Putin talks about a buffer zone, he's basically talking about a couple of more oblasts into the Russian Federation. That's what he's talking about. Kharkov. Kharkov would be a huge loss for Ukraine. The second largest city, I believe the one-time capital, wasn't it? Kharkov? But a big city. And if Zelensky loses Kharkov, well, that's going to be devastating for Zelensky and for the collective West, NATO. So that's the announcement. 150 kilometers is what some people are saying. Putin's buffer zone. The enemy chooses targets that have no military significance. It targets ambulances, farm machinery, women and children. We have taken a decision to create a buffer zone along the border of the Kursk, Bryansk, and Belgorod regions. What did Lavrov say about a year ago? But he was talking about long-range missiles. He said that the long-range missiles that are fired from Ukraine into Russia, when there was the big debate about long-range missiles and ATACMS and all of that stuff, Lavrov said that when the long-range missiles are fired into Russia, well, Russians are just going to have to create a buffer zone in order to prevent the launch of the long-range missiles. And last year, Putin was asked about a buffer zone, actually, when the whole Kursk incursion was unfolding. Putin was asked about whether Russia's going to need to create some sort of a buffer zone. And Putin, I believe back then, Putin, he didn't say yes, but he didn't say no. This was at the time of the ATACMS as well, when the Biden administration came up with the brilliant idea to launch ATACMS into Russia. Bryansk, Belgorod, Kursk is what we're talking about. That's where the ATACMS were focused. I remember Biden saying that the ATACMS are just going to hit Kursk. That's how he started out. He said just for the Kursk region. And then he had the ATACMS extending over to Bryansk. That was Biden. That was the Biden administration. Sullivan, Blinken, that was their great idea. Austin. And now they're going to the collective West, the Zelensky regime, Ukraine. They're now going to eventually lose this territory up in the north. And I would not be surprised if it extends from the north and goes all the way down to cover the south over time. That would not surprise me one bit. A huge announcement from Putin as Russia is in some sort of negotiation with the United States. A week after the chief negotiator for Russia, Medinsky, in Istanbul, said that if you don't agree to Istanbul Plus, then the 4 regions are going to turn to 8. Well, we may be getting 4 regions plus Sumy Kharkov. Maybe the 4 regions turn to 6. I don't know. This is the warning that has been given to the collective West. Now you understand why Trump may be in such a hurry, why the United States may be in such a hurry to try and get to a negotiation. Maybe there are people in the Trump administration who understand that Russia is advancing, and sooner or later, those 4 regions will become 8. So they're trying to preserve whatever they can of Project Ukraine. Anyway, speaking of negotiations, the Vatican, a lot of talk about the Vatican being the next place where negotiations are going to happen. Well, Lavrov and Peskov, they poured cold water on that idea. Peskov, in a statement yesterday, said that there are no plans for the Vatican to host talks between Russia and Ukraine after the talks in Istanbul. Peskov said there are no plans for the next location to be the Vatican. Doesn't mean that's not going to be the next location, but Peskov said, for now, there are no discussions about the Vatican hosting talks between Russia and Ukraine. And Lavrov took it one step further. And he said, for now, no to the Vatican. The direct quote from Lavrov is, the center of Catholicism may not be an elegant platform for 2 Orthodox nations to meet, while one of the key issues at hand is Kiev's persecution of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. Yeah, I talked a little bit about the persecution of the Ukraine Orthodox Church 2 days ago, I believe, in my video update. So here we have Lavrov saying, yeah, the Catholic Church, probably not the right location for 2 Orthodox countries. For 2 Orthodox countries, he said. You know, in the west of Ukraine, there are many Ukrainians who practice Greek Catholicism, which is kind of a mix between Orthodoxy and Catholicism, but it's called Greek Catholicism, Greek Catholics. And there are a lot of Ukrainians, especially in the west of Ukraine, who are Greek Catholics. I don't think it has any connection to Greece, to be quite honest. I'm not quite sure about the religion of Greek Catholicism. Don't know that much about it. But Lavrov saying that these are two Orthodox countries. And then, of course, you have the issue of Putin traveling to Italy. Bloomberg has an article with the title, Russia douses Trump's desire for Pope to host Ukraine talks. And Bloomberg makes the point about Putin traveling to Italy. Bloomberg also says that the Russians view the Vatican as not being neutral in the conflict in Ukraine, which is absolutely true. We know that the Vatican has taken a side, and that is the side of Churchill number 2. And I imagine now with the new Pope, an American Pope, that and all the meetings that have taken place with Zelensky meeting Trump, and then Zelensky also in Rome the other day meeting with Rubio and with Vance, attending the Pope's inaugural mass. I imagine now that the Vatican is even more under Pope Leo, even more pro-Ukrainian. That would be my guess, pro-collective West. So yeah, the Vatican is definitely not neutral. So I don't see how they would be able to mediate in this conflict. I just do not see it. I don't understand why the collective West, why Europe, Zelensky, Trump, the United States, why they want the Vatican to mediate, why they want this so bad. Do you guys know why? I don't understand why they're pushing so hard for the Vatican to mediate. Maybe they believe that they can pass off the Vatican as being neutral, as being a good faith mediator, knowing that the Vatican is not neutral. It is not going to mediate in good faith, but perhaps they believe that being the Catholic Church, they can pass it off to the media that the Vatican will act in good faith. And so that gives them an upper hand in the negotiations. I don't know. That's the only thing that I can think of as to why they're pushing so hard. And I mean, they are pushing really, really hard to make the Vatican the location of the next talks. But I agree with Lavrov. Not the right place, given what's happening to the Orthodox Church in Ukraine, given the fact that the Vatican is not neutral, definitely not the right place for talks. But maybe Russia will make a concession. Maybe Putin will make a concession. Perhaps there is that possibility. What's the title here from RT? Work on Ukraine peace memorandum in advanced stage, according to Lavrov. A new round of talks between Moscow and Kiev will take place, but the Vatican is not a very realistic venue, the Russian foreign minister has said. So Lavrov also said that the memorandum is being created, is being put together by Russia. He said it's in an advanced stage. So maybe we'll get a memorandum in a couple of weeks, a Russian memorandum. Ukraine's also going to put together a memorandum, but it's the Russian memorandum that we're going to be looking at. That's going to be the serious memorandum that will be presented to Trump and to the collective West and to Zelensky. But we know what the Russian memorandum is going to be. So I imagine it's in an advanced stage, but it's probably not so difficult to put together. Istanbul Plus, June 2024. Copy, Control C, Control P, copy, paste, and just put it in a document with the title Memorandum, Project Ukraine. So that's pretty much what it's going to be. It's going to be Istanbul Plus. But Lavrov, he also said when he was talking about the progress for the memorandum, Lavrov also said that one thing that Russia is concerned about and that has to be addressed is the legitimacy of Churchill number 2. Yeah, regime change. Medvedev talked about regime change in the speech that he gave in St. Petersburg. Yesterday, I mentioned how the chief lawyer in the foreign ministry also said that the legitimacy of Zelensky needs to be addressed. The foreign ministry of Russia said that the legitimacy of Zelensky that needs to be addressed. And now you have Lavrov coming out and saying, you know, we're putting together the memorandum, almost done. But what are we going to do about Churchill #2? Come on, man, Churchill #2. He's absolutely legitimate. I mean, he's Churchill #2. It's in the name. Green Goblin, it's in the name. The nemesis of Spider-Man. He's absolutely legit. Yeah, they're talking about regime change. That's what's going to be presented to Trump. That may be one of the key issues, along with the four, that will be one of the key issues that they're going to present to the United States, along with the 4 oblasts, which are now turning into 6 or 7 oblasts. The other key issue is going to be Zelensky has to go. That's what the Russian government is telegraphing to the West. Zelensky has to go. So in the West, there is a renewed push. This happened yesterday. A renewed push for sanctions. It goes up and down, up and down. No sanctions. Trump is not interested in sanctions, and now we have another renewed push for sanctions. They're not giving up. They will not give up. They have no reverse gear. Just like they are with elections, they refuse to accept an election result that goes against them. The neocons, neolibs, globalists, they refuse to give up on sanctions as well. They're not going to stop until they get their way with bone crushing, bone crushing Lindsey Graham sanctions. Lindsey Graham, everybody, is the bone crusher. Lindsey Bone Crusher Graham. I will destroy Putin with my bone-crushing 500% secondary sanctions on Russia. Anyone, according to Lindsey Graham, any country, any leader that buys or sells Russian products will face 500% sanctions. And then after, I think I read after 90 days, if they don't cut it out, I think I saw a bat. Is that a bat? Man, those things are quick. That's a bat. I hope it comes this way again. That's a bat. Batman. Batman, Green Goblin. Yeah, I think he said after 90 days, the document that Graham put together with Blumenthal, if they don't change their ways, if they don't change their behavior when it comes to dealing with Russia, then the 500% turns to 1,000%. 1,000%. Oh my God. They're not giving up on this. There are reports which claim that, and this is coming from a publication called New Line magazine, I believe, which claims that Rubio is playing both sides. He's telling Trump that he's with Trump and he doesn't want to put sanctions on Russia because if you put sanctions on Russia right now, as the United States is negotiating with Russia and trying to normalize ties with Russia, this would submarine the whole process. Said that yesterday as he was testifying to the House. But according to New Line, according to their anonymous sources, people familiar with the matter, they claim that behind the scenes, publicly, Rubio is supporting Trump against sanctions, but behind the scenes, Marco Rubio is working with Graham and the Europeans to put sanctions on Russia. Secretary Rubio pushes Graham bill for tough sanctions and 500% tariffs on countries buying from Russia, according to New Line. On condition of anonymity, a source close to Rubio said, notice how Rubio brings up the topics of sanctions almost every day. He wants Congress to push Graham's bill because it has a majority in the Senate and cannot be vetoed. That would destroy any attempt to reset relations with Russia, with Moscow. With Moscow is what it says, according to a source, an anonymous source. So that's Rubio playing both sides. What else do I have to say about sanctions? Yeah, Graham says that he has 80 senators now signed up to the bone-crushing sanctions. 80 senators. That's his message to Trump. Graham's message to Trump is, if you don't escalate with Russia, I have all of these senators and we'll move to impeach you. That's the real message from Graham to Trump, for which Trump should call Graham's bluff. He should tell Graham, go for it. Go for it and watch how quickly we vote you out of the Senate. We primary you. That's what Trump should tell Graham, as well as all the other Republican senators. Because what Trump does have is he has, when it comes to Project Ukraine and the United States walking away from Project Ukraine, Trump has the support of the American people. And he should call Graham's bluff. Something Graham does not have is the support of the American people, that's for sure. But that's the message that Graham is putting out to Trump. Now, as far as these 500% sanctions or tariffs, an embargo is what it really is. Rand Paul, he posted an article, let me bring it up here, on responsible statecraft. And he said that if these 500% tariffs are implemented, then it is going to absolutely destroy the United States of America. That is what Rand Paul said. While tariffs make wars more likely, embargoes make wars difficult to avoid. Senator Lindsey Graham's Sanctioning Russia Act calls for 500% tariffs on dozens of countries and essentially amounts to an embargo. If this bill were to pass, it would cause an economic calamity on a scale never before seen in our country. Paul goes on to say that the bill directs the president to impose 500% tariffs on all goods and services imported into the United States from a country that knowingly sells, supplies, transfers, or purchases oil, uranium, natural gas, petroleum products, or petrochemical products that originated in the Russian Federation. This tariff is subject to increase by no less than 500% every 90 days, meaning some countries could face 1,000% tariffs in just a few months. Rand Paul goes on to say that one of the countries that does purchase Russian products directly and indirectly is the United States of America. So Rand Paul actually writes in this article for Responsible Statecraft, are we going to place 500% sanctions on ourselves? He actually writes that in this article. And then he talks about how if this was to pass and if this was to be implemented, all of the countries that effectively have been embargoed by the United States and by the collective West would be so upset and so pissed off at the United States, including allies, including countries that the United States would like to win over as allies. They would be so fed up and so upset with the United States, especially after the Liberation Day debacle, that the U.S. would effectively be isolated, completely isolated from the rest of the world. That's basically what Rand Paul says in this article. He says it is a catastrophic idea from Lindsey Graham. For the United States, it's catastrophic. And he makes the point that Russia's going to be just fine. Russia's going to be just fine. They will make it through 500% bone-crushing tariffs. It's the United States that's going to be hurt by this plan from Lindsey Graham. He says the country that will be harmed the most under this legislation will be the United States, both economically and strategically. If implemented, these tariffs would make U.S. trade with most of the world untenable, raise prices for American consumers, and risk further weakening the dollar. No one's talking about where the ruble is with the dollar, are they? No one's talking about it in the collective West. When it's 110 or 120 to the dollar, Russia's economy is in tatters. Putin's government's going to collapse. Just give it one more week. It's about to collapse. When the ruble's at 80, or I believe 78 now, where is it at? They don't talk about it, right? Where is it at? 1 second, everybody. I got so many bookmarks going on. I lose track sometimes. Where is it? Ruble strengthens on 2-year high against dollar, 78.9 against the dollar. This article's from yesterday, from May 22nd. So yesterday it was 78.9 against the dollar. Russia's economy not in tatters. Kallas 2 days ago said that sanctions are working. They're working. I'm telling you, they're working. Oh, man. What was I saying? Yeah, so that's Rand Paul, the article that he posted on responsible statecraft, warning everybody in Congress, warning the American people, warning President Trump, please don't go through with these sanctions, man, no matter how much pressure you're getting, even from people like Rubio, who are being very sneaky and deceptive. Please don't go forward with these sanctions. They're going to hurt the United States a whole lot more than they're going to hurt Russia, if they even hurt Russia. So Bloomberg is saying that Russia is losing the conflict in Ukraine. Russian advance in Ukraine is slowing despite Putin's confidence. So in this article, Bloomberg is making the case that Putin is feeling confident, but Russia is not really gaining any territory. When Bloomberg talks about Russia advancements in this article, and they compare it to previous time periods, they fail to take into account the big defeat of Ukraine in Kursk. They don't want to talk about that defeat, perhaps the biggest defeat that Ukraine has suffered in this conflict, and the 70 or 80,000 Ukrainian losses and thousands of resources, military resources that were lost in Kursk. Bloomberg doesn't talk about that, and they're basically making the case that when it comes to Donbass, the Russian advancement has not been as significant as previous years. So they make the claim, the assessment, that even though Putin is confident, the reality is that Russia is losing, and Putin should not be so confident. And the Ukraine military is preventing the Russian military from breaking through. The reports that we're getting is that Russia is making advancements, and they are absolutely breaking through the last fortified areas of Donbass. They are absolutely breaking through areas like Pokrovsk, for example, and they're destroying the last fortifications. And once they destroy these fortifications, then it's going to be a lot quicker. The terrain gets a lot easier for the Russian military, and Ukraine does not have the fortifications built up that they had in Donbass. So anyway, that's Bloomberg's assessment. The publication 1945 has taken a different approach. They are saying that Ukraine faces a growing risk of outright military collapse if no deal is struck. So much more realistic, 1945. The Ukraine finance, I think he's the finance minister or economy minister. I think the finance minister, he said that at a meeting of finance ministers that took place the other day, he said that what needs to happen in Europe is that EU member states need to devote a percentage of their GDP to money to go to Ukraine. Just outright, just right off the top, take a percentage, instead a small percentage, like 0.5% or 1% or 2% or maybe 10%. I don't know. Just take a small percentage, a small slice of your GDP, just put it aside forever, forever. And that money is going to go to the Ukraine government. Interesting proposal from the finance minister of Ukraine. I believe he is the finance minister. Why not? Why not float out this idea? Perhaps EU member states will agree to this. Why not? Float it out there and see what they say. Maybe there will be some countries which decide, you know what, let's give 1% to Zelensky every year in perpetuity, even if Zelensky is not in government. Let's say it's a government in exile. Let's give that money over. Let's take it from our citizens and hand it over to Project Ukraine. Why not? At the end of the day, it benefits us all, doesn't it? The money that will go into this pot. So we have some big breaking news coming out of Brussels, and that is that the Parliament, various MEPs in the EU Parliament, are pushing for the European Commission to finally remove the voting rights of Hungary. And with the voting rights, they want whatever EU funding is earmarked for Budapest, they want it revoked. So no more voting, no more money. And they are pressing hard for the Commission to make this policy. So if you have no voting rights, if you have no funding from the EU, what's the point, right? What's the point? Why stay in the European Union? The reason all the countries, all the elite want to be in the European Union, including the media, including the NGOs, including the politicians, is access to the funds. That's it. That's the only reason they want to be in the European Union, because they get access to the funds. So if the funds are taken away, no reason to be in the European Union. A blessing for Hungary, if you ask me. Absolutely a blessing for Hungary if they can take the short-term pain to move away from the EU. They'll probably be much better off in the future. That's the breaking news, kind of the breaking news. Let's do a clown world. How am I doing on time? Yeah, we need to wrap this up. And we will wrap this up with a couple of clown worlds. We're getting reports that Trudeau, remember that guy? He is going to be getting in pensions, 2 pensions that he is going to be receiving, pensions and severance, which will be worth $8 million. Oh, wow. $8 million for Trudeau. According to Zero Hedge, Justin Trudeau getting 2 pensions and severance worth over $8 million. Nothing like being rewarded for a job well done, or in Justin Trudeau's case, bringing an entire country to the brink of losing the respect of the entire world. What is Zero Hedge saying here? What is Zero Hedge saying? Let's see. Trudeau. Hey, Olaf, guess what? I'm going to be making $8 million. That money's going to go a long way in Cuba. Let's see. The Sun writes that former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is eligible for 2 pensions, one for nearly 17 years as an MP and another for his 10 years as PM. Together, they're valued at about $8.4 million. Starting at age 55, he'll receive $141,000 annually from his MP pension and another $73,000 a year from his PM pension. when he turns 67. Trudeau is also going to be getting a severance just shy of $105,000. And something tells me that $8 million that he's getting in pensions and severance, something tells me that that's peanuts compared to everything else that he's going to make for the job that he did in Canada on behalf of the globalists. So one more clown world. What do you guys think? Should we do another clown world? Let's do another clown world. Stunning and brave, Kaya Kallas. From now on, whenever I have a story about Kaya Kallas, I'm just going to automatically file it under clown world, just automatically. Kaya Kallas was in Belgrade. Maybe she still is in Belgrade. And she delivered an ultimatum to Vučić. She delivered an ultimatum to Serbia. That's right. For Kaya Kallas, her ultimatum, according to the Associated Press, let me read you her quote. Serbia faces a geostrategic choice where it wants to be, Kaya Kallas said during her visit to Belgrade. Serbia's European future depends on the values it chooses to uphold. I really don't understand why it is necessary to stand side by side with the person who is conducting this horrible war in Ukraine, she said. And President Vučić was explaining his side of the story. So yes, we had a very extensive discussion about this. EU policy chief calls on Serbia to make a strategic choice between West and East. What will it be, Serbia? Will it be EU values or will it be the East? The East. Or EU values. EU values. Democratic elections. Free speech. Ursula von der Leyen. Kaya Kallas, Macron. Merz. Or will you choose the East? This is your final ultimatum from Stunning and Brave. She posted on X. My message to the authorities in Belgrade is clear. I want to see Serbia advancing towards the EU. For that, political leaders must deliver the necessary reforms and clarify the strategic direction. This is best done by restoring trust and staying true to democratic principles. That's right, democratic principles, like what you saw happen in Romania. Democratic principles. Must stay true to those democratic principles. The X account of Terror Alarm. They posted, EU's Kaya Kallas gives Serbia a final chance. Join the free world or stay tied to your Christian fundamentalism and Russia. Serbia's future depends on this choice. Which one is it going to be, Serbia? EU values or Christianity? Which one? EU values or God? Which do you choose? It's a tough choice. Tough choice. Man, that Kaya Kallas, she really drives a hard bargain. All right, that's the video. theduran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch, like what I'm wearing in this video update. Time to get a workout in. And I will see everybody tomorrow. Take care.